This episode started out as a bit of a note to myself, a reminder that it's easy to lose sight of the obvious when you're the one who has to wear so many hats. It's very easy to provision and kit yourself out as a filmmaker, especially as you climb from hobbyist to professional and then into larger jobs. And it's very easy to look after yourself on that journey of progression. But what if the weakest link in your setup isn't your camera or your lenses? What if it's how you've equipped the person standing next to you? What if the most impactful upgrade isn't another piece of glass for me, but a tool that would let the people who support me make my best work do their best work? Today is about looking after the people who look after you, why that makes the work better, and the small, smart bits of kit that transform a shoot day for your assistant, your focus puller, your monitor op. Their needs differ slightly from your own because it's a slightly different role. So let's look at kit that helps them help you. Here's the reality of my work. I would say about a third of the projects that I work on have the budget to bring on a team member. That's not to say that only a third need one. Most shoots would benefit from a second pair of hands. And I always try and explain that to clients. For a comparatively modest increase in costs, bringing an assistant usually buys back efficiency, calm, and greater production output. Some clients see that straight away and they're delighted. Others genuinely don't need it, and it's not uncommon for a client to arrive with their own entourage and kindly offer extra hands if and when I need them. So the day ends up running reasonably smoothly either way. But the point is this: if I'm the DP, director, operator, and the kit I own is all dialed in for me, but the person helping me is stuck with a poor monitor, no comms, an uncomfortable strap, no way to shade a screen, or nowhere to park a battery, that person then is the bottleneck for me. Not because they're not brilliant and great at what they do, but because I haven't equipped them for the job that I'm asking them to do. So in this episode, I'll show the specific tools that materially improve the day for people around me, and by extension, improve the work I'm able to deliver. So we'll start at the top with communication. In my day job, except it's not actually a job because it's voluntary, I am in maritime search and rescue. On the water, clear comms are sometimes the difference between a good outcome and a very bad one. Operating at a high level in that kind of high stakes environment teaches great comms hygiene and discipline. We use a method called closed loop communication. To give you an example of what that might look like afloat, the navigator issues an instruction: alter course to starboard 180 degrees. The helm repeats the instruction back, altering course to starboard 180. They then bring the boat around. They then confirm 180 degrees. No additional words, there's no ambiguity. If the helm says 190 by mistake, the navigator can hear the error immediately and correct it before it becomes a bigger problem. On location, the same discipline is truly magic. Focus on the bag, copy, focusing on the bag, or, and this is where it saves the shot, copy, focusing on the hat, and you can catch it quickly and say negative, focus on the bag. No drama, no raised voices across a room, complete clarity. Another maxim that applies equally well on the water or on location is right information, right time, right amount. On the boat we say brief early, brief often. You don't do a single epic speech at 8 AM and then expect everyone to remember it at 4:30. Instead, short, timely briefs at the beginning of each scene, before a reset, after a change of plan, chunks small enough to stick in your mind. That style of communication keeps the airwaves clean. There's no superfluous chatter. But also, it doesn't mean you become robotic around clients. It just means you keep the professional channel professional, and you can still keep the client channel warm, human, and engaged. The real trick is switching between those two modes without friction, which is why the comms hardware really matters. I use the Hollyland Solidcom SE, full duplex headsets that just work. No pairing dance, no 3-button long press ritual, a physical toggle that is either on or off, a light that is either green or red. Mic boom down and you're live, mic boom up and you're muted but still listening. It's very visibly obvious to your assistant, it's visibly obvious to the client, and it helps set the tone through the day. I've tried alternatives. I also own a bone conducting set from Vaxis, and in my experience the sound quality was pretty unusable even in quiet rooms, let alone in busy environments. These Hollylands are the opposite. Comfortable all day, crystal clear clarity, battery life that sails through a shoot day, and crucially they lower everyone's heart rate because no one needs to raise their voices to communicate over long distance. Right now, I run a 2-unit kit most days, one for me, one for my assistant, and will sometimes supplement that with small radios for the wider crew, but the direct link between camera and first AC is where the time savings are all unlocked. Would I buy a 6-pack and put headsets on the client, the stylist, the makeup artist, and the craft table? Not yet, but I can definitely see the argument on large, complex days for expanding the kit. I find on projects when the comms have the same clarity that the lenses provide, that gets more shots made with less friction. One potential worry with such sort of disciplined comms protocol is sounding a bit clipped or cold in front of clients, but I found that the fix for that is simple. Keep the team channel for the precise stuff, and keep your face-to-face client talk warm. The solid comms help because the mic position is such a visual signal. Boom down is game time, boom up means you're the one in the room again. You can pivot from copy, rolling, to, yeah, that's a great idea, let's try it after this take, without anyone feeling like they're on a submarine. If you like seeing the real world bits that don't make it to a full episode, the travel jobs, the rig experiments that never graduate, the lifeboat helm training, and the occasional sea day, I share those in closer to real time over on Instagram, where I'm at JackFilmed. It's where the behind the scenes kind of stuff from my life lives. And if this episode has been useful at all so far, a like here helps new people find it. The next massive quality of life improvement for an assistant is a proper monitor control rig, not just a tablet bungee corded to a light stand, a deliberate shaded station that lets them read the image and make changes quickly. For Red and Sony days, we'll often pair the wireless monitor with an iPad running the companion app. In Sony's case, that's the monitor control, or for Red, the Red control app. It means that when I'm operating on an easy rig and buried under a matte box and sun hood, the assistant can make small changes faster than I can. Between the comm sets and the companion apps, it's like having a really amazing Siri. You can just ask something and then it happens. You see the changes appear on screen. No hands sort of diving inside the hood. It's pretty impressive. And to make all that work together elegantly, we've been using a very nicely engineered iPad cage from Gelatin Digital, the xLamina Pro, which is absolutely covered in rigging points and crucially ships with a folding sunshade that actually keeps reflections off the screen. The shade can mount to the xLamina Pro in either portrait or horizontal orientation, and it's made from carbon fiber and something that looks a lot like leather. It's got a really properly premium feel in the hand. It also makes use of magnets and recessed captive guide pins, so it snaps into place really securely, no droop, no drift. Small details that make it really kind of a joy to use. It's by far the best product in the iPad cage category I've ever encountered, and there's loads of them. It's light, it's super rigid, and it turns an iPad into a first-class assistant station rather than a consumer tablet wobbling about on a friction arm. Do you absolutely need a premium cage to use an app? No. But if you expect someone to keep exposure tools open, watch the waveform, tap through menus, and do it all in harsh sunlight without squinting or getting it wrong, then give them the shade, the grips, the mounting, cable management, and that all makes it easy for them. Meg shows up across a lot of my B-roll because she's not just my first AC, she's a producer, DIT, editor when needed, runner, fixer, all-round dreamboat, and keeps the wheels turning while I'm buried under a rig. And because that breadth of roles actually involves quite a few hours at a desk, I wanted her space to feel like mine does. Dialed in, comfortable, and built for the long haul rather than just little dipping in and out. So we set her up a workstation around the Flexispot C7 ergonomic chair, partly because we've worked with the brand before, and partly because it genuinely solves a very Meg-specific requirement. She likes to tuck her legs up and sit cross-legged or with her legs under her. She changes posture all the time, and the C7 has an extendable leg rest, non-captive armrests, and generous clearance that let her do exactly that without wrestling with it. The lumbar support is the standout. For me, although Meg seems a little bit less interested in it, it's adjustable, firm, and it stops her from getting an editor's hunch. Prior to the C7, she'd been using a balance stool, which was really great for sort of keeping core mobility, but for long stints, it just wasn't ideal. So the C7 is quite a substantial upgrade that really helps if she's churning through often quite repetitive editing tasks. And that's kind of the theme of what I'm trying to get into with this episode. It's really easy to shower the DP, me, with nice things, while the person doing a lot of the graft just gets leftovers and hand-me-downs. Their role is no less important than my own, and actually what they contribute is as important into the outcome that the client ends up getting, so it's just worth investing in looking after them. It's Meg's work that makes sure the assets land in the right folders, timelines stay on track, and notes get actioned, and so part of my responsibility to help maintain the cadence is to make sure that the entire team, me and Meg, are happy. For transparency, Flexispot have added me to their affiliate program. There's a link in the description, and if you buy anything through it, hopefully I earn a modest commission. Single digits, not retirement money. I think ethically I'm okay with brand affiliation, provided I'm clear about it with you and would only recommend things that I'd happily be using in our studio regardless. And if you caught my recent episode on YouTube's release cycle economics, you'll know I'm trying to be as open as possible about how I make all this add up. Back to culture, because tools are only half the story. The other half is the way we use them. At the start of the day, I like to do a quick briefing for the whole group. Not a lecture, a 2-minute frame setting. This is what we're delivering, this is the order, this is how we'll communicate. If you see something, say something, regardless of your role or station. That last part is kind of critical. Even if it's just the work experience runner, they might be the only person in the room not tunnel visioned onto the monitor, which makes them the perfect person to notice that the logo's rotated in the wrong direction, or a label's peeling off, or a fresh drip has appeared on a glass. If you empower everybody on a project to know that they can speak up if they spot something that's not quite right or an opportunity for improvement, that might add a couple of minutes to a take, but it can really save so much time either across the day or in post. So it prevents reshoots and it helps preserve the running time of the schedule. And the other boat-borne principle I lean on is this: slow down to speed up. Take the 2 minutes now to fix the small thing rather than the 2 hours later to fix some kind of compounded problem. It's slightly maddening sometimes to stop the momentum, but 10 times out of 10, I promise, it saves you time over the long run. And clients notice that discipline. They love the briefing when you sort of gather everyone around, so take a knee. They kind of can't believe it. It shouts professionalism. And I think that that's part of how you present to them and what keeps them coming back for more. I'm convinced it's part of what gets me booked time and time again. I think it communicates a competence. And we all know that mistakes creep in when you're rushing around, and then you don't spot them until you're editing. So anything that can be done to help reduce that can only be a good thing. Let's address money. Convincing a client to add an assistant can feel a bit like an uphill slog sometimes, especially if they're not used to it or not budgeting for it. I frame it more like this. For a comparatively modest cost, you get more scenes covered. You get a cleaner on-set experience, fewer resets, and you get a calmer operator who's thinking about the image instead of juggling the entire universe. Sometimes the answer still turns out to be a no, which is fine. But when you do get the green light, it's on you to make sure your assistant is set up to succeed. Because the first time the client sees the benefits with their own eyes, the day that runs on rails, they'll ask for the assistant again next time. It might just be that your assistant only saves you a couple of minutes per shot, but cumulative over the course of a day or a multi-day shoot, that really adds up and you're squeezing in more shots, getting more output. And I think it's really valuable and worth it, especially when you think of how much expense and planning goes into these projects. So just to recap the core pieces I think have really made a difference for my team this year. The Hollyland Solidcom SE headsets, full duplex, clear, extremely simple to use. If you've been burned by other systems, like I have with Axis, these feel like an enormous relief. The Focusrite wrap bag, V4 Pro Mini, a small sling that turns a heavy wireless monitor into an all-day tool rather than something that's a bit of a chore. The medium size, like you've seen before, lives with my middleweight camera rigs, but the Mini is the perfect solve for the assistant. A rigid iPad cage with a proper sunshade. We're using the Gelatin Digital xLamina Pro, loads of mounting, very light premium shade that actually works. It's really impressive. And the culture piece. Brief early, brief often, closed loop comms, and empower everyone on the project to speak up if they need to. One last thought on tone. I don't want to make it sound like it's something that isn't. I don't want to be working on a set that feels like a military base. I want a set that feels like a group of grown-ups doing good work, but at pace. Structured really helps you get there, I found. So it's not about barking orders. It's about communicating clearly and removing ambiguity. Ambiguity can become expensive quite quickly. Comms are really fantastic bits of kit, but there's a few things worth avoiding. Try not to let the comms channel become general chat. Banter and badinage is perfect for breaks, but I recommend trying to keep the comms loop clean to keep it useful. Try and avoid doing one mega brief at the start and calling it done. Small briefs regularly at the start of each block or scene, that's much more manageable. Another thing that I haven't mentioned yet is try not to overload just one person, as I often have, with every auxiliary task. If your assistant is pulling focus, running the app, managing batteries, watching for continuity, something might creep in and go wrong. So if you're able to, try and spread that load. And if that means you as the DP or director or sort of senior creative doing something, just anything to help. If you're the one moving apple crates around or charging batteries, that's totally okay. Nothing is above nor beneath you. Don't expect consumer kit to behave like professional kit. If a screen is important, try and put it in a cage, shade it, and never forget to use a sandbag. So why does any of this matter, beyond just having a smoother day? For me, it's because looking after the people who look after you has a compounding effect. It builds a bit of a rhythm in your team where everyone's able to anticipate the next person by a half beat or so, which lets you concentrate on the thing you're actually there to do. Make images that move people. There's a bit of an ego trap in filmmaking, the one that whispers that the next camera body will unlock the next level of your craft. And sometimes it does, definitely, but more often the next level is unlocked by a more subtle shift. In my case this year, I've really found that it's tools for someone else rather than things for me. And a lot of it's about method, a way of working that makes life lighter for everyone around you. So that's an upgrade I'm always looking for opportunity in. And it shouldn't be something you hesitate to invest in, because I find it pays off much quicker than kit I buy for myself. Right, so just to hammer this home one last time, equip your team and your work gets better. Start with communication that's clear, calm, and if you can, implement that closed loop methodology. Give your assistant the ergonomics that lasts the whole day, not just the first hour on location. Build a monitoring and control station that treats their job as a profession, not just some sort of afterthought that came along for the ride. Brief early, brief often, and empower everybody to call a pause if they see a fix that's likely to save time in the long run. The kit I've talked about today has materially improved my days in a very measurable way. So check out Hollyland, Focusrite, and Gelatin Digital. Plus, don't forget to overlook the boring but essential bits. Sandbags, zip ties, spares, straps, cables. I'll put links in the description. If I'm able to, they'll all be affiliate links, but it might just be one or two of them. They cost you nothing, and all being well, I get a couple of quid if you happen to buy within a day or two of clicking the link. Not riches by any means, and a bit more surprising than it is lucrative, but it helps justify me spending time testing gear in these episodes. If any of this gave you ideas that you can use on your next job, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more Video Maker in the Trenches style episodes. And like I mentioned, if you want the in-between episode bits, check out my Instagram, which is @JackFilmed. I've been Jack, this has been Western Approaches, and thank you for watching.